Headed to Facebook. I'm smiling. Why? Because I'm almost done with this. It's beading over the end of tubes. Take a look. For those that saw the video the other day, rolled tube. This is a beaded tube. All of these are beaded tubes except for the last couple across the middle. So, what is beading? Well, you take this tool and with a pneumatic chipping hammer, which I'll show you in a second, you form over the tube end. It does several things. Most importantly, it turns the tube into effectively like a stay bolt or stay rod.
Disconnected.
This is the pneumatic tool that may 15 pounds or so. This particular hammer, let's see, what was it? It is a new Boyer, B-O-Y-E-R hammer, put out by the Chicago Pneumatic Company in Detroit back in the day. And only just today, while I was fixing the trigger, somebody put the wrong plunger in it years ago, and the trigger was less than ideal in the way it operated, so I fixed it. Anyway, 10/3 of 33, date stamped into it. Think about that. Thing's 87 years old. It's really kind of funny. I'm using a pneumatic tool that's older than the steam locomotive because, of course, this was built in 1974. So, this tool goes in the end of the chipping hammer, and it has to be able to rotate like this as you're going around the tube hole in the hammer. This, incidentally, by the way, check this out. Northern Pacific Railroad. Vintage beading tool. So I always take a little bit of the leftover Crisco and, you know, every 5, 6, whatever holes, just dab a little bit more on the shank. It works out really well. All right, so it's kind of a down and get the tube started running the gun a bit more lightly than you otherwise would. And then you finish it off. So once I get it kind of halfway there, I'll stop and let you guys have a look at it. And ask questions. Camera persons, happy to ask. So there it is, partially completed. It's about halfway over. May not look it, but it's moved quite a bit already, especially compared to the other one. And this is narrowly malleable. I mean, this stuff is really amazing. The amount it'll crush and everything. So it's not just, you know, my depiction with my finger, right, is not exactly accurate as to what's going on. Because yes, while the tool is forming it over, by the time it gets down here, this formed over bit is solid. There's no gap. It's not literally like a rolled over piece of sheet metal. It is solid metal. I mean, it's a really, like I said, a really malleable material. And that's finished.
So only one question so far, and that's been from Jim Lipnitz, because we kind of cut out a couple bits in the beginning. He just wanted to know what...
It is a Crown Metal Products 440 1974. A theme near you, but... All right, gonna do another one. We have a little, so you got to let the compressor catch up, and my body, because I'll tell you, this thing is like holding a piece of a machine gun, right? So when you don't do this every day. Now, there are several old wives' tales associated with doing this kind of work. One of which is that you have to anneal, soften the end of the tubes before, or flues or whatever, before you put them in. Modern day steels do not require that. Now, if you're safe ending a tube, taking the old one and welding a new back to it, the old end, even that doesn't really help, but at least it can get rid of a lot of the schmutz on the surface. To properly anneal something requires heating it and holding it for a certain amount of time, and then drawing the temperature down slowly, heating it slowly, etc. So just making it glow. Look at how easily it moves. Does it really seem like it needs to be annealed? It doesn't. That's the thing. There's a couple other things along those lines we're going to talk about in a separate video because we received a lot of questions via message. And it's another old wives' tale, which is interesting in that if you bring it up with a tubing manufacturer, you can hear the eye rolling over the phone. It's quite entertaining. Anyway, doing another. Any questions?
Let me look back through here. I had to move a little bit farther away from the firebox. We were still having some service issues inside a big steel box. I can't imagine why.
Was it dropping out or?
Yeah, it was cutting out. Yeah, so far nobody really seems to have many questions. Lots of people watching. Andrew Botorf, Jonathan Shares, Brendan Ziegler tuning in. Bill Drotar III. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Dan Tomlinson's watching. Guy Frick, Dan Malakowski. Yeah.
All very good.
If anybody's got questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments, and that hammering guy, that beading guy, will answer them for you.
But unlike some, I only use a hammer when it's applicable. I think everybody knows somebody who is a little bit too quick to want to beat on stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yes.
Drayton Dean Lutz wants to know what we're doing. He just dropped in on the live feed. He missed the explanation.
Well, what we're doing is beading over the ends of tubes. I'll give a brief explanation, but once we post this, just go back and watch the whole thing. But basically, we're taking the end of the tube and forming it over, which is part of the process of installing a locomotive. Nowadays, it's not done all the time on package boilers and whatnot. A lot of times they'll just insert, roll, and then weld the ends, skipping this step entirely. And some of the work is really gorgeous. They have these little automated TIG welders that you stick in the hole and basically just hit the go button on once you have them dialed in, and they just go around and they do this, but with TIG.
Wow.
So, pretty cool. But anyway, that was it. Just a little look. Be sure to share anybody you think might be interested. And I do check occasionally. So you have any questions, comment and I'll answer them.